animators, and artists, and welcome to this Toon Boom Rig Show and Tell. Camila Barbizan Kressin is a 2D rigging artist from Brazil who's currently working in Manchester. We invited Camila onto our stream to discuss the Viking Rig, which she built based on a character design by Jamie Buchanan. So Camila, welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Hi.
So the character rig that you built is based on a design by Jamie Buchanan. The Viking character is, I just really love the design and the rig. How did you meet Jamie?
We worked together at Bromberg Films in 2018. It was the first company that I worked here in the UK, and we were kind of work together. I was in my second year. I was a lead rigger, and he was a lead character design. So we were always talking, and he was a really easy person to talk and discuss things and find solutions. Yeah.
Yeah. And what drew you to this character design?
Sorry?
Well, what drew you to rig this character design?
Well, first because it's a Viking, and yeah, I really like the like how the character is kind of charismatic and angry and grumpy, and yeah, I was when I decided to do Jamie's look for James' design. When I start to scroll down, I found this. He had this image with 3 Vikings, and this one was kind of the most challenging with the furs and the cape and this big beard. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna try to do this one.
You mentioned like the fur and the beard and the cape. Do you want to just show off some of those elements right now for our viewers and on how those were constructed?
Yes. So I did the rig for the fur and the cape, but it's kind of I did more for tests. It's not really something that I think it could be useful, but yeah. So what I did for the fur, it's just a big shape with the farmer, and I created this controller that you can do. If they don't want to animate each part of the thing, they can just use this or just kind of a wave thing. If
So you have
they're
it blowing in
feeling
the
like,
wind.
yeah, if it's kind of something like a loop or mechanical thing that they, instead of they do all the time, they can just move a bit the master controller and just put in a loop, and it works, I think. I don't know. And for the cape, let me just change. For the cape, I was watching another rigger a tutorial, and I decided to test to add. It's kind of the same. It's just a loop that you can. Doesn't really work, but it kind of work if you have a lot of things to do and just need to have the cape kind of move in the back. You can just move the
Have like 2
frames
S
here in the
curves sort of
master.
spiraling through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just move and you can turn off and go back to the same shape, or you can. I gave more options, so if you want, you can move the points and try to shape it, or
That's really cool.
use. Oh,
Sorry, I
just
just wanted to say that was really cool. And you also showed me earlier that the cape has these little tufts that you can also move around too.
yeah. For a few poses, they have these tiny details that I create them separated, and then each, how do you call, fur has its own controller and own peg, so you can move around.
Yeah, I've seen that solution a few times, and it's always struck me as like a really clever way of working with those tufts. So Jamie designed the Viking rig. This was the Viking character this rig was based on. What sort of resources were you able to get from Jamie initially, and how did that lead to the design of this rig?
So, it was kind of my mistake. I went to his Instagram. I found the cool rigging, the cool design, and I asked him if I could rig his design. He was really happy, and I just got the 3/4 pose and the expression sheets. So I start to rig. At the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna rig the 3/4 pose, and then I was like, nah, I want to do the full turnaround. So instead of ask Jamie, I did my own sketch. I I spent like an entire day or 1.5 days sketch and trying to find the. And I don't really draw, so I kind of did based in the 3/4 pose that I have, and yeah, I finished the rig. I did all the master controller, and I sent to. No, I didn't do the master controller. I finished all the rigs, the farmers, and everything. I sent to James to approve, and he was like, "So, I have the full turnaround in my website." So I spent, yeah, a few more days trying to. Let me find if I have the. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I spent a few more days trying to fix the rig based in the turnaround. It would be way easier if I had asked it for some material. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think a lot of people who are new to like animation and art are sometimes hesitant to redo something. Do you feel that redoing your work is a positive exercise?
yeah, I really like to redo things. I'm really used it when the software crashes or when I do something wrong. Because the second time is you find better solution or you do like way faster than you did before because you already know what it wasn't working. And so yeah, the second time that you do things, you find better solutions and yeah, probably things that work way better than the first time that we did. And yeah, for and you kind of have more time to rethink things when you have to start with everything again. Yeah, so I like to do things twice.
Yeah, Camilla, what kinds of design materials do you find are most helpful when building a character rig?
um it's really essential to have a well important to have the turnaround, but if you're creative and you have kind of a design skill, you can do with just one pose. And something that I really like to have when like working a production or working like getting design from uh, a friend or something is to get the expression sheet or just posing test because you can understand how the character is gonna act and yeah, how the joints, how he's gonna move and everything. So it's really cool to get a expression sheet or some poses. So yeah. And for this character, it has super cool expression.
Oh, sorry, I think I just realized I had my microphone on mute. If you were
Oh.
going to teach an animator to use this rig in a production, what would you show them first?
I kind of like this is kind of a simple rig. You can just the animator they can just animate using the handles that I create here. Like it's really easy, just moving all the pieces around and do whatever you want just with this view. But yeah, I created this kind of a scary panel that yeah, with the panel you can do way more things than just with the character. Like you can move the head super smooth. You can do turn around. Do you want me to show kind of all the controllers?
Yeah, let's go through the controllers. I think so you said the panel's scary. I think the panel's really neat.
Yeah, it's something that I like. Since I graduate, I was always between 2D and 3D. So I had I worked a bit as a 3D animator, and one thing that I always loved was the panel, like the face expression that was always on the side of the character, and was really cool. You could do like everything you want really fast, like change the expression here. And I always wanted Toon Boom to have something similar. And Toon Boom started to implement things that are making this possible. And yeah, so my idea of creating the panel was to do something similar to 3D, to have like control of the head, control of the pupils, the turnaround. You can change lip sync. Blinks. Oh, sorry. I can do all the blinks. The eyebrows. It's really easy to. I feel that it's really easy to change the expression of the character just by the controllers.
Yeah, I think that's neat.
Mm. Yeah, this expression shift is not really. It doesn't work 100% because I didn't want to change Jamie's design, so like to add the neutral pose. So I just created based in the material that I found it. So I had to
right.
like
So this is
work
more of a
around.
proof of concept than a production rig.
Yeah. Like in a
And I
production,
think that like
sorry.
I think it's also important to like do research and development and try things out and see what works. And sometimes you find something really cool, and sometimes sometimes you just find weird experiments that just lead to more things later on.
Yeah. And this rig is more experiment. I want to test the cape, so I added a controller for the cape. And for example, the expression, I don't have all the images, so I'm just gonna add an extra controller to go back to neutral face. Yeah, arms. I wanted to test the IK, the constraints that I never tried before, and I was always not really a huge fan of constraints, so I wanted to test to have this option, but I was like, but what if they need a normal option? So I also I create a switch, so if they're not happy with the constraint, they can switch back to normal. So everything I did is kind of to please the animators in the end.
Yeah, it's really cool that there are a lot of options too. So, Camila, how many master controllers did you build for this rig?
Oh, so I think it's around 27, discounting controllers and checkbox, like the turnaround one that you can go from stepped to smooth. I think it's useful. This checkbox that you can display things, hide the handles. Yeah, hide the handles from one arm, because I had a node that keeps all the handles in front. So sometimes when you're animating like this pose, you're gonna have the back arm handles in front of the body, so you can just turn off, then work only with the front arm.
It makes it a little bit less busy when you're trying to grab the right handle.
Yeah. I know it's a lot of handles, a lot of master controller, but Toon Boom is not crashing, and it's not a heavy rig, so I'm happy with the 27. Well,
I'm just gonna knock on some particle board over here.
No, it's not gonna crash. Don't worry. I hope so.
All right. So how would you use these controllers when animating this character? Like, what sort of like workflow would you have in mind for this character?
I'll do kind of a mix. First, going with the handles, posing, like do as much as you can with the pegs, the ones that you like, people are used to, the animators are used to do, and then once you have the pose. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, now my cat has just jumped into my camera frame.
No,
All right,
she
she's.
knows I'm a cat person. Yeah, so I would go normal things, and if something is not working, I'll switch and then try to.
I also have to say, I really love that expression on his face.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you have a controller of everything. Like you can get all the, you can get the basic expression from the expression sheet, but you can also tweak a bit.
Yeah, I think one thing people need to also realize about master controllers is that it doesn't have to be the only way that you animate a character. It can be a starting point for posing out. And geez, that's great.
Yeah. Like for example, like eyebrows or tiny details, instead of you're trying, because normally you have in a production you have you need to follow the design, and depend of how you change the eyebrow is not really following the design. So you,
Right, it'll be off
we
model.
build, yeah, off model, yeah, that's the word. Yeah, so if we build this in the rig, they can just pose exactly how is in the model. Yeah, and it will be less fixes, I think.
So when you were designing this rig, what was the most challenging thing to build?
Let me think. Everything. The arms, because yeah, the arms, because I never use it. I never really use the constraints. And let me find it here. And yeah, I wanted to test the constraint for the arms, and I also wanted to not to break. So I had to add like extra pegs that I didn't really want to add. So I spent a lot of time playing with the arms, and I also wanted to add the switch. So it was more time spending trying to figure out how it was gonna work, like move switching between the two types of rigs. And the panel, I spent a lot of time thinking about this panel. Not the design, not the position of the controllers, but that these, because yeah, Toon doesn't have two cameras, so if this character is in a scene and you need to move the camera, this panel is gonna disappear. So I wanted to find a way that you, like, if you're just animating this camera, you can use the panel on the side. But if you have a camera in the scene and you want to move the character around, you can switch to this other panel, and you can move the character with the panel, and yeah, you still have it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, but rescaled and organized in a way that is not like something big. And you can, let me see if it's working. No, should be able to move around, but I think it's not working, of course. Small panel. Yeah, there's a controller for the, like if it's in front of another character and you want to move around, you just move to the side. But yeah, I spent a long time thinking, trying to find a solution, or crying that Toon Boom doesn't have a second camera. But in the end, it's an easy thing. It was an easy thing to do.
Yeah. So, what was your solution to getting that to work?
So this is the solution. Well, this is the solution. Let me think. This is a normal peg that is connected to the small panel, and this this peg here is a clone of the camera that is outside. So if I move this, I move the panel. It's going with the camera. So I did a clone. Let me find it. I did a clone of it. I created its own peg that you can just move the panel around if by any chance you move it around. And there's a transformation switch that is connected to the drawing of the panel. That means like if I let me find the library here. So this is the big panel. So if I'm using the drawing one, it's gonna be connected to. Where's my mouse? Yeah, if I'm using drawing one, it's gonna be connected to this peg. And if I'm switched to drawing two, it's gonna be connected to this peg. So it's just a normal switch. And then this is, oh my god, I can close. Oh well, I have a kind of floating around.
So we got a question in the chat. Andrew Wilson is asking, how long did it take to rig this character?
In total, one week and a half. Only because I made a mistake and I have to redo the rig. If I didn't make this mistake, it would be a week. I'll say 2 days to do one day and a half to do the drawings, 1 day or half a day to do the farmers, and the rest of the days to do the master controllers, like posing the head, because I have here all the frames that I need to pose before create the master controllers. I think it's, oh yeah, I don't know, yeah, depend of how fast do you rig, but it can be a week or it can be a month.
I think one thing people might not realize about like master controller rigs is that it's not 3D. It is all just 2D geometry and shapes and drawings that tween between each other. And it creates a very, very convincing illusion, but it's not quite 3D.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time like just posing the eyes, or where's my head? Like posing all the rotation of the head up and down. In a production, I will say that this part we will get from design. It will be amazing to get this from design. I never got this from design, but it would be amazing. More time production for design. But yeah, we can kind of figure it out how the head is gonna work looking down. But we spend more time if we had to find out how it's gonna work up and down. Yeah, but if we got from design, it would be less time of thinking.
You really need to know like how volumes rotate and how it should look. I think that on this rig, like the results are really impressive. Do you find it's difficult to work on personal projects after working on your day job?
Like personal project for being rigging, and I work the whole day with rigging, I don't mind. I really love rigging, and I arrive home and I want to do more. But yeah, it can be a bit exhausted, depending on how long or if you have to commute. But yeah, like working a production is kind of factory thing. You have a mechanical thing. You need to follow the rules. You need to click here, click that, and at home doing my personal project, I can do whatever I want. I have my own time. Yeah, I really like to work in personal project when I'm not
Uh,
exhausted.
One thing that I was curious to ask you about, what was your career path to becoming a 2D rigging artist?
So I graduated in animation. It was kind of the first university in Brazil that opened this animation course. It was just 2 years. So I graduated in animation, and I start to work right after in my teacher studio. So that I was kind of lucky. And so since 2009, I've been working with animation. But yeah, in the university, I always loved 2D animation and 3D animations. So I was jumping between a 2D job, 3D job, 2D job, 3D job, and always doing everything: animation, rigging, whatever they needed me to do. And 2017 was when I was like, there's not a lot of riggers around. I think I want to focus only in rigging. And yeah, I decided to focus my reel in rigging. I decided to look only for rigging jobs. And yeah, I got a job in Brazil. And then right after, I got the job here in Manchester. So yeah, it took me 9 years to work abroad. Yeah.
Was it challenging to decide to move abroad? I know that can be a really big leap for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a lot. My English was horrible. I didn't know where was Manchester. Uh, um, but work-wise was kind of the same because animation, like everybody is, yeah, the same. Nobody's normal in a studio. So I felt like home, and my bosses, they were really welcoming, and it was really work-wise was really easy, but moving to another country, trying to learn another language that you never like the language, yeah, it was hard.
I
And
do kind of
try to
like
get
the
used to the weather.
tagline for the industry of like nobody's normal, everybody's welcome here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any advice for artists who are interested in learning how to rig for 2D productions?
Um, so what I normally do is what I would recommend is watch as much tutorial as you can. Toon Boom, the website, you can find a lot of learning things that I didn't have when I started to learn, and now like you have the classes and things that are really useful. You have a lot of great YouTuber channels like Stylus Rumble. She's great. I don't remember her name, but yeah, her website is great. And something that is really, really useful is to read the document, like trying to understand what each node does. So when you start to rig, you can, if I add this, I know this node do this, so I can just add this node. So it's, I know a lot of people don't do that, but for me, I found really useful to read the documents and spend some time like trying to understand what each node does, and yeah, just be a nerd and learn and read
So we're a
and
little bit
practice.
ahead of schedule with my questions. Do you have any other features of this rig that you want to show off to our audience? Any parts about how maybe the hands are constructed or how the feet is constructed?
Yeah. The hands are it's something that I'm still it's polemic. um, I I didn't have all the model sheets, so I just did the basic, and then I found I found some images that I could copy and try to do similar to the design. So I build a lot of I draw a lot of hands, but they still not really matching the
Yeah.
position. But one of my idea was to create a rigged hand because it was It was actually a request from my friend because his hand is really simple. It just have three fingers and one thumb, so it would be really like nice to have it rigged. So I spent some time, like after I finished the rig, just I don't know where I can find it. Yeah, so I created a rigged hand that I'm not really sure if I'm gonna add. Maybe I'm gonna add, but yeah, you can pose
Oh,
the
that's
hand.
cool.
Yeah.
So,
It gives
one
more
dirty
options.
secret of 2D cutout animation is that rigging artists and animators tend to draw a lot of hands by hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this sort of gets around that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time drawing 63 hands, and they are not perfect. But if I had the design, they would be cool. But yeah, we spend a lot of time drawing hands, and if the mouths they're not rigged, we spend a lot of time drawing all the lip sync, front, three quarters, profile. It's a lot of drawing. I say I don't draw, but yeah, we draw a lot. Like his feet they're just normal. I think the way I rigged the legs are the way that a lot of people are doing nowadays. Like it has up and down, so you can do FK. Oh, yeah. You can. What else did I add? His beard has the bouncing. His nose has a bouncing. His head. I also spent his head. You can do like kind of bouncing.
Oh, you know what? We've gone this far into the interview, and I didn't even ask you about the hat and the horns for this Viking rig.
Yeah, I spent some time a few time doing this. Cause at the beginning, I just did like a flat hat, and when my friend started, I have a friend, my housemate, that she's an animator, and she was the one testing the rig. So I was sending her the rig, and she created this long document
I
with
love this
things
document. This
that
is wild.
yeah, yeah, she was finding like just tiny details that wasn't working, things that I could fix and things that I couldn't fix. And yeah, the hat was the big one, like to create these
So you could have like the
these
character
inside
jump and
line.
have the hat sort of hover or float as it's falling down on top of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can give life to the hat. Yeah, yeah. His is bold. I
That's
don't
a
really
nice
know if
touch.
he's gonna ever have this head floating, but yeah, because I don't really know how is the design of his hair, so I made him bald.
I think it's funnier if he's bald, right? Like that sort of adds a nice
Yeah,
touch.
yeah. This is tiny, cute frame blocking that my friend did just to see if it was working. She probably hates it. And this was the time that the hand was breaking, so I had to add two extra pegs to make it following the lower arm.
Right.
Now it's fixed.
Do you find that
And
it's helpful to hand your rig over to an animator and get feedback?
that's amazing. Yeah, I really love to have a second opinion because, well, I have an animation background, but now I'm kind of forgetting. So I always love it. So yeah, I don't really know if I still know how to pose the character. I know it's really useful, but sometimes I do. But so giving to an animator, you have a completely different opinion. Like if you give it to a rigger, the rigger is only gonna see the technical thing, but the animator is the one that is gonna actually use the rig. So they yeah, you can with their notes you can understand better what is happening, what is breaking, what they're going gonna do and what it's gonna break in the future. Work in a production, I always love it to talk to the animation team and get their opinion, because they can be really annoying, but it's really useful. Sometimes no, it's really useful to have their opinion, because they're the ones that are going to be working with your rig, and if they don't like, and they tell you that they're going to spend a lot of time, like double the time that they were going to spend if you remove it, that thing is way better to remove, because it's going to affect their whole production.
And how would you say this rig compares in complexity to a rig that you typically use in a cutout production?
Well, I don't know yet if a production can use master controllers, if people are prepared to use master controllers. I know, like, just a bit of master controllers can be used in a big production. Like rotation of the head or something like that. But it's a lot of time spending creating the master controllers, and probably something's gonna break, and then it's more time spending fixing the master controller. But I still hope that I know that it's possible. We just need more time. Yeah, I worked in this production that we did a few master controllers, and then once they start to animate, they're like, we don't need this, and then we have to forget everything that we did, and just go for the basic pegs and handles. Like the animators, they need to start changing their mindset to get used to master controllers, because I think this is something that is really gonna like a 3D. It's gonna be like a 3D animation. Like, people are gonna find out that it's really useful. It's handy to have like easy access to the controllers, but everybody needs to just change their mindset. Like, more money.
Do you find it's hard to like put a feature into a rig, like, hey, I worked on this, and then here, like, no, I don't want to use this. I just want to, move the envelope.
It's heartbreaking, but yeah, we just need to accept, like, you cannot get attached to anything being a rig, or you can be how do you say, stubborn, and it's going to be really hard for you to get a job if you don't accept their opinions.
At the end of the day, you have to make something that's useful for the animator to work with.
Yeah, because they are the ones that are going to spend a lot of time with the rig. It's cool to add a lot of stuff, but like, for me, this is really cool for my reel, but I don't know if it would really work in a production that you have a time, you have a deadline, and you have a lot of animators.
I just think this rig is really neat. Camila, thank you so much for taking time today to show off this rig and tell us a little bit about how it works. Where can our viewers see more of your work?
I'm starting to update my portfolio, so you can find on Behance /KamibK, KAMIBK. I don't have Instagram or anything, or my LinkedIn. The things that I post in my LinkedIn are the same from my Behance, but I'm starting now to update my stuff.
And I saw also that you recently added a new rig there too, right? There was the sort of liquid with almost like stars or constellations inside. It's hard to describe. It's a really cool character.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, I don't know if I have that. Yeah, I spent I wanted to learn the particles and learn more this particle side and test new things. So yeah, it was a lot of work in this one. The rig is really simple because it's just like flat piece, but the inside is a lot of nodes connected. I don't really know how I did. I'm kidding. Yeah, it's It was just like
Just like wake
connecting
up and
nodes.
see the rig and like, what happened? How did I make this?
Yeah, for the particles was like at one point was working, and then I just wanted to change the speed, and then I changed the speed, wasn't working, and then I added the node again and it was working. So I don't really know how. Yeah, but I
Well,
really
I
enjoyed
think the end
seeing
result
the
looks really neat.
Yeah, it is the.
So for our viewers, if you want to see more of this rig, go to behance.net/CamiBK.
Yeah,
And
I
thank you
added
everyone
the.
who,
Sorry, I added the like in my Behance, I added the breakdown of the rig, so you can find things there.
yeah, it's super cool. Definitely check out that Behance page. And thank you everyone who joined us for today's Rig Show and Tell. If you enjoyed today's interview and you'd like to learn how to build 2D puppet characters, you can download a fully featured 21-day trial of Harmony Premium from our website at toonboom.com. And if you're curious about the craft of storyboarding, our panel discussion next week is about storyboarding for comedy. Guests include Pearl Lowe, Tom LaBaff, Nick Paris, and Violaine Bryant. And we will have questions about the role of board artists and the craft that goes into pre-production and making visual things funny. So you won't want to miss it, and be sure to tune in next time.